Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.
Hey, fine folks. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Saturday Night Dialogues. It is August the 9th, Saturday, August the 9th, 2025. Folks, we have another jam-packed, in-your-face call tonight where we're going to give you proof in writing, showing you how the RV is happening. Let's get into some prayer. Let's get into this call because we have some very, very important information to go over with you and show you. So let's get into it. All right. Father God, as always, we humble ourselves before you and give you thanks. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this opportunity. Thank you for allowing us to be here together as a tribe, as a family. Also want to thank you for so many people that have allowed themselves to be able to awaken, to learn and understand how this blessing is coming. We thank you for showing them the light and using us as beacons of lights and tools to help each and every one of these folks who have done it to be able to establish the relationship that they need in order to take this blessing and allow it to be there in their lives in generations to come. We thank you for allowing us to be those tools and those vessels. We thank you for every tribe member, every person, the good, the bad, the ugly. It doesn't matter. We thank you for them all because everyone has been a part of the lesson and the blessing. In your precious name, we pray. We give you the honor and the glory. In your precious name, Jesus' name, amen. All right, folks, let's go. We got some quick announcements first. Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room. And you folks may have seen Goldilocks post that Goldilocks is switching hours for the main room from Monday to Wednesday. That was probably sparked from a call that I made to Goldilocks and Wiley saying, hey, look, Freedom Fighter needs to make sure Freedom Fighter takes care of himself. A lot of people are joining the room, and I'm getting tired. But I'm not down and out or worn out. So it's best because, folks, we want to make it to the finish line just like you all do. So we're going to scale back Monday through Wednesday, and we will still provide the podcast from Monday through Thursday. And this is very important that I'm going to share it, and you don't want to miss this part what I'm about to say. If you haven't subscribed and put your notifications on Goldilocks Global Banking News, the YouTube page, the podcast, if you haven't, if I were you, I would subscribe to the channel and put my notifications on. Folks, we are going to continue to bring you the daily updates on the RV. What you're going to hear tonight is added information and more showing how it's developing. So, like I said, the new days will be Monday through Wednesday. We first started out, folks, it was 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday for almost a year, probably like 10 months, 11 months, about 10 months. We went to Monday through Friday. Now, folks, then the Thursday, now Monday through Wednesday. If you truly want to prepare for this blessing, both in getting information to be prepared and get it every day and establish your relationships. You got 3 days now, Monday through Wednesday. You only have 3 days during the week, and the clock is ticking. That's is why I'm telling you, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, put your notifications on, and come into the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room. Ask for help. Ask for guidance. We will help you. We will show you the way. You no longer have 6 days during the week, 5 or 4. You only have 3. All right. Now, Dee's room, she'll continue to provide her updates as she sees fit, coming from different places around the world related to global finance. And then Dave's room, crypto finance room with Dave Big Dog. That's where you go, and any of your crypto related questions, that's where you go. And then, of course, Goldilocks Global Banking News is the daily podcast. In fact, now that we're cutting down an extra day, we'll be able to bring you with. I might have a little more energy when I do the podcast for you. But that is where it has grown now to over 80 countries around the world that are subscribing. With now we're getting close to 1.7 million of views. All right, folks. Now tonight, we're gonna touch on from Goldilocks tariffs on gold. Yes, gold. You will understand when we get there to talk about is how important this is to the revaluation of currencies. Because what's going to back our currencies? Gold. All right. Then we're going to touch on Iraq opening new currency exchange locations, preparing to get all of these paper dinars off the street in Iraq. Then we're going to touch on Vietnam, and we're going to show you in writing the process of Vietnam making moves to revalue the Vietnamese dong. We're going to show you in writing, literally in writing, just like we've shown you in writing from the White House, just like we've shown you in writing from major news outlets in writing about the RV. We're going to show you more tonight. All right. Now, tonight we have 2 amazing members. Oh, before I get to that, just so you know, Wiley has a previous engagement. So we are honored to have a young man that is going to fill in for Wiley tonight. And that's none other than the sniper, Mike N. He'll be filling in for Wiley. All right. So tonight we have 2 amazing members. Serge, who is a newer member who has been able to jump out and had his first meeting. He's going to give his update. Then the wonderful, amazing, seasoned, powerful RO. She's going to bring forth her update on her bank relationships. And then next Saturday, we have the babyface assassin, Flopper Jockey, who's 18 years old. That's why I call him the babyface assassin, who's going to share his update on his bank story that he had very successfully. And then Queen JB as well. Wow, Queen! I can't wait to hear Queen. In fact, Queen JB, she's had several appointments, maybe 1 or 2 appointments, but next Thursday, she has an appointment with a private wealth management firm who's actually sending her a car to pick her up, to take her to a lunch meeting with the firm. Yes, driving Miss Daisy. And then the following Saturday, tentatively, we have Nichols Inc., and then also we have Lori Judd. All right, folks, let's go. We're gonna come to, and then of course, the wonderful, no one and only Peculiar Rand is going to be reading our articles tonight. All right, and so we're going to get to Serge first, and then we're going to come to you, RO. Serge, if you can unmute, my good man, the sniffer. How you doing? Good evening.
How are you?
Doing well. Folks, let me tell you something about this young man. Serge, I love his energy. Very, very inquisitive. This dude asks questions. He's like a pit bull. He'll latch on to you when he wants to ask questions. You answer, he comes back with another one, and he keeps asking until he gets clarity. We love it. Love it, love it, love it. He is thirsty for knowledge and information. He knows how to sniff to get what he wants like a hound dog. And Serge shared early, about a week or so ago, he had his first meeting with a wealth manager. And when Serge first came to the room, Serge, we could tell he was a little off balance, little, he was trying to figure his way out. This young man followed the directions, followed the 8 steps, had his meeting, and he continues. And Serge, I want you to know, we appreciate and enjoy, and I hope this is not gonna come back and bite me in my butt. We enjoy your questions, man. and because just the other day, you were able to get some clarity based on the questions that you had about who will exchange your currency, whether it was the wealth manager or remember you were asking those questions?
Yes.
And you got that clarity because you asked so many questions.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Huh?
I definitely did. You're right.
Yeah, and you got the clarity, and the light bulb went off for you, didn't it?
It really did.
Beautiful, beautiful. What I would love for you to do, my good man, is if you could share your experience with the wealth manager that you initially had, and because what I love, Serge, is that we have so many members that are at different stages in the steps and in the process. So you're at the very beginning. So many people can learn from you, because there's going to be a point where you're going to be at the end, meaning that you got wealth managers locked in, you got contracts signed, possibly, whatever it may be, like the stories you hear. But you had to start somewhere, and where you're at now. So please share your experience in your first meeting.
Okay, so we, first of all, he was very warm, very courteous, very nice. He received me very well, which I liked. Mm-hmm. And basically, I had already emailed the questions to him, and so he just basically went through all of the questions, and I just liked how he broke everything down, and he let me know. He answered all of my questions, and he showed me. He explained to me how it was a team aspect and how they dealt with 75 to 100 families. And when I asked him about the client experience question, he broke it down immediately and told me about the convenience and the service orientation and the wealth of knowledge and the safety and preservation assets, and how they visit their clients all over the country, which I was really impressed by. And I just felt I just had a connection with him. I just felt like I could literally go out and have dinner, hang out with him, watch the game or something. Like it was just like that. And what else was it?
Let me ask you a question before you continue. You mentioned that they told you, and I'm glad you brought this up because you mentioned this in the room, that they have 75 to 100 families. Folks, what Serge is talking about is that these 75 to 100 families, that's clients.
Right.
So they only have 75 to 100, let's say 75 to 100 clients. That's it. That's not a lot, is it?
No.
And so folks thinking that you're just going to pop up to a bank the day of the RV, and they're just going to bow down to you, these wealth managers, these bankers, and they're just going to be desperate for your business? Nope, because they got folks like Serge already establishing relationships. They already have 75 to 100 clients, folks. That is not 75 to 100 people or clients for the RV. This is 75 to 100 clients they've had for years. Good, young man.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, as I mentioned, he had this he had a pamphlet with my name on it and the date and everything, and he explained he went through the pamphlet with me and explained to me, the rates, how much how much they charge and
their fees.
Go ahead.
Their fees.
The fees. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, you're good. You're good.
The fees. And he went through everything with me, and it was just a very informative, thorough meeting, and it's like he really was prepared for me, and he really showed me that he was really,
into you,
interested in my in satisfying all of my questions and all of
And it didn't feel like you didn't feel pressured.
No, I didn't. I was very relaxed, very comfortable. I was blown away by it. I mean, really.
Now, let me ask you this. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No. Go ahead.
You mentioned earlier that he answered all of your questions and all of the questions Wiley's questions. What is a question that you asked, and the answer really impressed you? And what was the answer?
What was it? I'm looking at the questions here.
Okay.
Shoot. You know what?
Did you ask him a question about what he would do with the $1 million himself personally to invest?
Yeah. He said that he basically broke down all of the different ways he would do it as far as, and it was in the language that I'm not very versed in, but he was, he didn't stutter. He just, and of course, I guess he saw the question, so I guess he was prepared. But I mean, the answers that he gave were very, thought. He put thought into it, and it just didn't seem rehearsed. It just seemed very genuine.
Right.
And like I told you, the next day I went to a totally different bank, and they were just totally, the exact opposite of this guy. There was two of them, and they were just so phony, and I just was ready to leave in like 10 minutes. It was just even prior.
It was night and day.
Yeah, absolutely. And then prior to me going to them, after I talked to him on the phone, he was like, "And why did you want to come see us again?" I said, I was like, okay, this is probably not going to work out well. I said, well, I just want to put a face to the name. I want to, cultivate a relationship. I want to get to know you all, and blah blah blah. Oh, okay, sure, yeah. Oh, yeah, we love that. Oh, come on in. And then when I got there, it was just, you could just feel it. Like, okay, they're just running me through the motions.
But I love this. Let me go there. I love this. Because the experience that you had with this initial wealth manager, he set the bar so high for you.
Exactly. And
that anyone coming behind him will have to really impress you.
Exactly.
He set the bar.
He did. And what I didn't like about this second group was that as I was leaving, they were like, "Oh, here's the pamphlet. Did you give him?" She was telling the partner, "Did you give them the pamphlet? Show them the pamphlet." "Oh yeah, here's the pamphlet. Here you go." As I was leaving, I said, "Wow, really?" So
again, I love it. Yeah. I love it.
That's why it pays to really shop around, or really.
Exactly. There you go. So you have to, interview several. You want to establish different relationships.
You do.
Because all you need is one. It seems like the first one that you met with, you probably want to lock in, but you still are highly advised to interview others. That's why so many members, Serge, have 2, 3, or 4, multiple. Because then you can diversify if you want to, into different firms. You have more flexibility. But man, this dude set the bar. Whoever you interview from now on, they in trouble.
Right. And what blew me away was this guy is at the bottom of I wouldn't say the bottom, but he's much lower than the ones that turn me off. They're like within the top 5, at the top of the top 5. And he is and then the other thing is the people that I did not like, they said, well, we have our firm, and then we have the bank is our parent bank. We have so many more resources, and they even named the one that I had gone to, not even knowing that I had been. and we have so many more resources than all of these others, and they included that one. And so I'm like, okay, but even if they do, but you're not showing me anything. You're not.
Man, this initial wealth manager spoiled you, man.
He did. He really did.
He spoiled you.
and I found out he's actually a private wealth manager. That is what his title was, which I didn't really realize until I read it.
I was just getting ready to ask you if he was with a private firm. Yes. Okay. Now, and you're going to be interviewing others. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to be going to some more this week. Yeah.
Now that you've had this experience with this private wealth manager, and then you went and you had your little situation with these others, do you feel now that this has prepared you for the next following wealth managers that you interview?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know exactly what I want to hear and what to look for and what to ask for, and yeah. Absolutely.
Let me get Mike in, because the sniper, he was helping you in the room as well the last couple of days. Sniper, you want to jump in here, my good man?
Absolutely. Serge, man, congratulations, my man.
Thank you.
Man, it takes a lot to be able to step out there and step into their offices and kind of have a conversation with these guys. First, I want to tell you again, congratulations. You when you set up and when you went into that place and he was prepared for you, how did that make you feel?
I felt really, I felt respected, and I felt appreciated. I felt like this guy really wants my business, and I felt honored. I felt good. I felt very good. Yeah.
A lot of times when we're shopping these guys, and I use the word shopping, right? Because we're sending out these questions to when we look up who they are, and we're checking their background and seeing what history they have. That's our inside scoop. So when we go in and we send them these questions, it gives them an opportunity to know that, hey, we're coming in on serious business.
Right.
You've dealt with a guy that was ready, prepared for. He had a folder right there ready with your name, ready to show you what he's able to offer. Exactly. I mean, it sounds like the other guys you went to, they were just, they didn't give you the same respect as this other guy.
No.
A lot of times when you're doing this and you're speaking with these guys, and that first initial conversation is just to kind of get a good idea of what their company offers and what they do on a regular basis. And you'll notice that a lot of times when you're setting these things up, they're trying to give you the idea that they're the right choice.
Exactly.
But because you went and got a special experience with this guy, you kind of know that even though they're breaking down their ideas, that you're able to really find that vibe. And you were able to separate one that you didn't like versus one that you said, okay, I can work with this guy.
Correct.
What?
No, yeah, Sniper, you make a good point, because when I'm thinking about this with Serge, it's like, Serge, if you didn't have that experience, let's say if you would have had the experience with these second folks first, you would feel so probably dejected.
Yeah.
But now having that experience with this, and this is why, folks, it's important. Just because your first experience isn't what you would want to write home to mama about, that don't mean you stop interviewing. Because luckily for Serge, I shouldn't even say luckily, being that it was your situation, this first private wealth manager, he got you to the point up front, like so with so much confidence in yourself. When you went to these other folks and they were acting a fool, in your head, you probably had to be like, oh well, so
yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. I got somebody better than you already.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. And that's what I was doing. And then they said they were like, they have a 98% 98% retention rate. They were just talking about how great they were, but I said, well, I mean, and they may
probably do. Uh-huh.
They may have that, but they just won't be getting my business.
Right. See, and it's in Sniper, it's beautiful because he went in a position of strength.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And with leverage. And that's just because, going through the process. You did an amazing job, Serge. And now that you're moving forward, you're going to be scheduling more.
Yeah.
I can just see you coming back to the room with your chest out every single time after you have these appointments.
Absolutely. Serge, don't be scared of, to continue to keep going out there. Look, I tell you this, it's, these guys, they want to work with you. They just looking for the person that's coming in that's talking the right way. It's not every day that they meet somebody that comes in that's prepared. There's been a lot of hot topics this week, and it's been it's been around the idea of why should I do it or what should I say. Let me ask you this: when you sent those questions and they were answering your questions, did it feel like you had control of the situation?
Yeah,
or did you feel like they
did.
were leading?
It did. No, I actually felt it total control. I did. I really did.
There you go. Yeah, see, that's a great question, Sniper, because you don't feel like you're in a position of weakness when you walk in. Like you're subservient, like you gotta beg them for their business, or you gotta see if you can say something to see if they know about the RV, if they gonna say something to make you think they know about the RV. You don't even have that energy when you went in, did you?
No.
You don't need it.
Mm-mm.
A lot of times when you go in there, the conversation is not about the currency. It's not. It's about the after effect. What you can do that is going to help you immediately, what you're going to do that might help you 5 years from now, and what you might do that it puts you in a position where you have generational wealth to pass down or do whatever else you might be on your plate.
Right.
That's it.
It's just about having a team that is there for you in your corner. And it sounds like you got one guy that's ready to go, sir. Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him tomorrow because I know where he lives. They had a power outage, and I'm going to call him tomorrow. I'm going to be like, were you okay with that power outage? Did you lose power? How are you doing?
That's smart.
There you go. There you go.
Smart.
I'm sitting there trying to figure out ways, to talk to this guy.
To keep in touch. Yeah. And you keep the line of communication open.
Right.
And like Aulis and others, they'll send their occasional weekly or every other week email. See, now I'll tell you, Serge, you got you've done tremendous, but if you want to get to Sniper Mike N's level, this dude he literally communicates with his wealth managers daily, several email, text, phone call, postcard, note in the pigeon talons. He makes sure singing telegram, anything. Mike N communicates with his wealth manager every day, all of them. Yes, and I've seen the text messages and the emails he shared. I'm like, damn. I'm like, damn, Mike, ain't you married? What's going on here? This dude every day, his wealth manager talking about the RV, currencies, everything. You'll get there, Serge. You'll get there, but don't compare yourself to him. I'm joking, but I'm being honest at the same time.
Right.
This is literally what Mike has going on, but he knows what he's talking about. And if you just follow his lead and other members in the tribe, you will be just fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. You'll be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Just keep in with those questions, man. Just don't stop asking questions. Let them guide you. Let them tell you. Look, they love to teach. They really do. You don't have to worry about it if you're going to ask the wrong question, because they will help you on whatever question it might be that you're putting out there. You just got to put it to them. And
Okay.
they'll be more than happy to reach out.
Right.
Yes, sir. All right, sir. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, and keep coming to the room like you've been doing, asking 21 questions, man. That's what you do. Yeah.
See, I think you cracking them.
No, I'm not.
Hey, look, he didn't know if he was gonna make it.
Yeah, we didn't know. This is like locker room talk now. This we can crack on you and have fun, but it's all in love, man. Because
I know.
you're part of the tribe now, man. You're part of the tribe.
Yes, sir.
All right,
He's
man.
gonna have his wife take him out.
Yeah, right. Yes, sir. 6 years, right? 6 years. Yeah. All right, man.
Yep.
All right. We're gonna get to RO and stay tuned, Serge, for this amazing call we got. That's gonna follow. All right.
I will. Thank you.
All right, beloved. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. The beautiful, amazing RO, who is a tremendous leader in the tribe. She has a team. She has several teams, if I recall, of wealth managers. If you can come to the microphone, please.
Good evening.
Good evening, my beautiful lady.
How are you doing, Freedom?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hi, Sniper, and congrats to Serge.
Yes. It's so amazing, RO, because you've been on the call with your several updates before. You're in the room helping people, guiding people, being a great leader. And of course, just a few weeks ago, you shared a new update. And I'm like, what? It's like when it was best, it got better. I'm like, you got to tell us. Fill us in.
Did you want me to start with the lunch part, or?
Oh, let's go to the food. Yes, let's go to the food. That's my favorite part. Yes, perfect.
Okay. Well, just a quick backstory. I was in conversation with a private wealth firm. They're the top and largest RIA. I started conversations with them in mid-January, so 5 or 6.5 months ago. Mm-hmm. So we've had many meetings in his office with the team and just him, and just exchanging emails back and forth. And about 2 weeks ago, had our first lunch date out of office. This is the first time. And so when I met him, he greeted me with a hug. So that was the first hug.
Okay.
So we met at a nice quiet restaurant, what started off to be a quiet restaurant, and we talked about so many different topics, from work to current affairs, and we talked about structuring and how I could come in and into the office and flush out a draft before speaking to an attorney. And we were just bouncing around with so many different topics, and there wasn't any gaps in our fluid conversation. And so, and I think when we've met in person, I think we've both picked up on each other that we're very private people, extremely private, and until you get to know somebody. But so during our conversation at lunch, we talked about, he brought it up. He talked about one of his family members and what they did, and how his other families were involved, and the journey and the details he was sharing. And for a moment, I forgot who I was talking to. It felt like two friends talking about realities of life and family. So during our conversation, he's mentioned a couple of times, he said, yeah, your name came up in our meeting again.
Oh, okay.
And so I guess they're having like internal meetings, and
Uh-huh.
so perhaps he's hoping I would share more of my investments with them,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because I have said nothing about currency at all.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I didn't want to bring up that because I wanted to make sure I felt trust with him, and I
Mm-hmm.
know that you should keep emotions out of investments, but
Yes.
um, after the blessings, I didn't want to be up at 3 a.m. and wondering if I chose the right person for me,
Mm-hmm.
and if he's looking out for me and the direction I want to go
Mm-hmm.
to.
Right.
And so I really wanted to avoid that. And
Mm-hmm.
so so I put the emphasis on rapport, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want a forced relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So so at this point, the restaurant is getting louder and louder.
Wow.
So so we're talking about precious metals and other investments that he talked to me about in
Uh-huh.
another meeting, how they're going to introduce that into their portfolio.
Uh-huh.
And so then I just said, well, my investment is with it involves GCR.
Uh-huh.
And he
Uh-huh.
just smiled.
Uh-huh. Perfect segue when he brought up precious metals. Perfect. Perfect. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
So, as we parted from our 2-hour lunch meeting,
Mm-hmm.
he gave me several printouts about investments and strategies.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I'd like to set up another lunch or coffee, whatever is good for you. And
Mm-hmm.
so our next meeting is next month, or first week of next month.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. I'm laughing, but I'm laughing. I got this cat that ate the canary smile because he wants to meet with you again out of the office.
right.
Not immediately, but the next. And see, I love how you being that folks listening to this, being that RO is literally a student of Goldilocks, and in the room she studies, she reads, she researches, she asks questions. She's at the point now where she don't need to ask questions, but she helps so many people. She's constantly, of course, still learning, but she was so prepared so that when this wealth manager that she's been building a relationship with for the last 6.5 months, once he opened up to talk about what is a part of their offerings, and they're going to be focusing on precious metals, I know a light bulb went off in RO's head because she knows what's going to back our currencies: precious metals.
Absolutely.
It was you. So you knew that when he said that, you were like, "No, I'm not. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm just. I know what I would have done if he would have brought up, just like you. I would have been like, precious metals. As a matter of fact, you know what? I have some investments in precious metals as well, and it's in alignment with the GCR. See, and what you did was you said it, and then you got quiet and allowed him to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just opened up. He smiled, and then wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But 6.5 months, folks. This wasn't the first date. Well, technically in person. Y'all were online dating for 6.5 months. but and this was an Italian restaurant too, I think, right?
It
Was this the
was.
Italian? That's
It
right.
was.
That's right. Did I ask you to order me some calamari?
You
Or
did.
no? I'm not.
You did.
I'm still waiting for it.
You're invited to the next lunch.
Yeah, I wish. but this is so. You see, you were so prepared, and this goes to show. This is a testament to you being a student of your investment. Is that you knew when he said what he said about precious metals? I know you were like, Thank you for that. Thank you. Wealth manager, you just gave me the perfect thing that I can respond to tell you what my investment is in. And now he gives you some pamphlets, and he wants to meet you again for another lunch date.
That's right. And then he had sent me some videos on investments and what they're putting in their portfolio that's being introduced. And he said, you may be interested in this. So he sent me that. So
was precious metals, was that a part of the video?
It was AI.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Because that's right. You did say that in the room. AI.
Yeah.
And that's, go ahead.
Oh no. And next week I have another meeting. This is my second meeting with another private wealth firm. And they're not as big as this one. But they've been in business for 3 decades. They have over 30 billion AUM.
Wow.
So smaller, but what was interesting with them is they have a lot of services that are in-house. So I will be meeting with one of their senior wealth managers next week.
Okay. Beautiful. Mike in Sniper. You want to jump in here with the queen?
Absolutely. RO, congratulations. Way to stick to your guns too. I mean, in terms of keeping what your investment is and what you're looking to do with them to yourself, and allowing him to just continuously pull you around. And the questions you're asking are ringing bells inside of that office, because they're having conversations behind closed doors about you. It tells me that you are putting the right information out to them, and you're leading them in. And by all means, perfect execution too, by putting out what you had once he started to open up to you. He sees that you're opening up to him in a closed setting, and that's a big reason why he's leading this next lunch. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I still have my tier one, who's gave me a massive education on holding structure, 3-level structure, and he was telling me all the little tricks that you could do for taxes and things like that. So he got in pretty deep. So yeah.
Nice. Is this one that you went to now? Is it a tier one or a private wealth management?
The one that we went to lunch with is a private. And the second one that's the meeting next week is another private.
So you got 2 private wealth management firms and 1 tier 1 bank with wealth management.
Yes.
So she got 3. See, this is what I was telling you, Serge and other folks listening. This is why you'll get to a point where you will have multiple. RO has multiple 3 wealth manager, 2 wealth management, private wealth management firms, and the wealth management department at a tier 1 bank. Wow. You got all your bases covered. You got all your bases covered. And these, as you continue to nurture these relationships, especially the ones with the where you're gonna meet outside of the office, like in a luncheon or in a private setting, those are going to be so in depth and amazing for you. Because when you're in those private environments, they really open up even more. See, because there's things that when he mentioned to you about precious metals, when I think about it, he did that intentionally to see if you would respond, to let him know to let him know what your investments were, and you did exactly what he knew you were going to do, what he hoped for you to do. And it was just perfect. It was just perfect.
And
Yeah,
congratulations on
he was asking me if I wanted to bring in the precious metals in with the investment, and I said nope, they're being segregated.
Oh, so he asked you if you wanted to bring in your precious metals and your currency.
He did just the precious metal.
Just the precious metals. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and this is a conversation we had several months ago when I told him about the precious metal part.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Beautiful, beautiful. Congratulations. Wow, this is so awesome. Awesome.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you. Thank you for being you. You're such an amazing, powerful leader in the room. So much loving energy. We're so excited for you. So happy for you. And the best is yet to come.
Absolutely.
I'm still waiting on my calamari and my cheesecake, but that's
not
all right.
a problem. Not a problem.
All right, beloved. Thanks. All right. We're going to get into this call, and we'll see you in the room hopefully on Monday.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, beautiful folks. We're going to get right into this peculiar ram. There's a ram in the bush. If you can How you doing, young lady?
I'm doing good. Y'all got me excited over here. Shoot. Congratulations, Serge. Congratulations, R to the O, my good sis.
Yes.
Mike, Sniper.
Mm-hmm.
Such a fire call. But yeah, I'm ready. Let's get into it.
Yes. All right. Wasn't that a perfect segue for RO with the wealth manager mentioning precious metals? And she's just like, huh? Did you just say precious metals to me? Oh, I know what I'm.
She was smooth with it.
Yeah, real smooth.
She picked up those cues and really just took full advantage of it. So
yes,
that's smart. She's a smart woman.
Yes. And she 6.5 months of building and nurturing that relationship reminded me of what you did with your wealth manager, where you spoke to him 6-7 months in advance before y'all first met, and then boom, he just opened up.
Yep, sure did.
Yeah. All right, folks, let's jump right into it. The very first, of course. And if you could, beloved, if you could read not only the first paragraph, but also the first sentence of the second paragraph, because we want to emphasize the weakening of the dollar, because what we're going to get into following, of course, as you know, we'll be touching on that. Thank you.
Okay. Currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of a potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit, said one former Trump administration official, adding that Lighthizer and his team are the primary advocates for the approach. But weakening, weakening the dollar could have other far-reaching consequences, from sending consumer prices for imported products soaring to inviting retaliation from other countries and threatening the dollar's role as the world reserve currency, which would undermine U.S. sanctions on adversaries like Iran and Russia.
Now, folks, for those that don't know, maybe this is the first time you're hearing this, you're seeing this. This is from an article from April of last year where Trump officials on the inside leaked his plan regarding the currency revaluation his second term, and that the currency revaluation will be tied to the trade deficit because of the overvaluing of the dollar and weakening, pay attention, and weakening the dollar could have far-reaching consequences, from sending consumer prices for imported products soaring to, and this is all related to tariffs and trade, to inviting retaliation from other countries and threatening, this is very key, because what you're going to hear moving forward is going to touch on this, to inviting retaliation from other countries and threatening the dollar's role as the world reserve currency. For those that don't know what that means, I'll explain it. The US dollar has been the world's reserve currency for the last 50 plus years. What is that? What does that mean? many countries around the world, instead of utilizing their own currencies in trade, they were utilizing the US dollar because of the dollar's strength. This was an agreement between the United States and these countries around the world to allow them to use the United States forced many of these countries to use the US dollar, or else the military power of the US, all of a sudden their prime minister or leader, they didn't like them all of a sudden, so they wanted, Saddam or Gaddafi, but we're in a different era now, different level, different stage now. The weakening of the dollar, and as it being the world's reserve currency revaluation is tied to trade deficit. Currency revaluation, folks, also tied to the weakening of the dollar. This is what we've been sharing about Goldilocks for a while, because as these countries are now moving away from the US dollar in trade, they'll be utilizing their own currencies, because these countries are shifting from the US dollar. Why? Because it's getting weaker. And their currencies, remember, as of July 1st, with the Basel III Endgame, central banks around the world having gold as their reserves. These countries are shifting to their own currencies with gold to back it. This is how, in the new digital banking system, it was designed. This is why, on July 1st, all central banks around the world, gold as a tier 1 asset. We showed it in writing, did we not, Peculiar Rand?
We sure did.
Gold, folks, in the banking system is a tier 1 asset as of July 1st. Countries around the world are moving from the US dollar because it's getting weaker. It's getting weaker, and the tariffs sparked the shift of weakening the dollar. We've been showing it. We're going to show you a little more of that tonight, and how, again, in writing, we're going to show you how the revaluation is in motion. All right, let's get into gold, folks. Gold. We always said by Goldilocks there could be no RV without gold, because gold was, just imagine, folks, that if the RV would have happened last year, year before, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, so forth and so on, without anything, it was a fiat currency, nothing backing it. You would have gone into exchange your currency and the market crashed and all your money gone. What you gonna say? What you gonna do? Because you wasn't gonna be able to go to the bank and exchange your currency and take a wheelbarrow or back your car up to the back of the bank and open your trunk and deposit millions of dollars in cash and go put it under your mattress or bury it in your backyard. Banks don't carry cash like that. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, I know you were told that you can walk out with barrels. Nope. That's not how the banking system operates, folks. They don't carry cash to be able to do that. Just imagine hundreds of thousands of folks going in to the bank all at the same time, the same day, to withdraw millions of dollars. Really? Nah, Nope. Moving into a new digital banking system, folks, whereby gold will back our currencies. Gold is backing in the new, and commodities. This is why we keep telling you about the commodities. The back all currencies, commodities such as gold, silver, copper, ore, our agricultural products, so forth and so on. Now, you all heard about tariffs. Trump just put tariffs on gold. Go, young lady.
The United States is currently imposing tariffs on gold. 1 second, I'm sorry. Tariffs on gold can have several potential impacts on global currencies, primarily driven by the indirect effects on the global economy, investor behavior, and central bank policies. Tariffs can make central banks, particularly those in emerging markets, less reliant on foreign currencies like the US dollar for their reserves.
Pause 1 second, beloved. You heard what she just said. Read that last sentence again, and then I'm going to read something behind you. Go ahead.
Tariffs can make central banks, particularly those in emerging markets, less reliant on foreign currencies like the US dollar for their reserves.
Boom. In the second paragraph of what she just read before this, currency revaluation like to be a priority of the second Trump administration, but weakening the dollar could have other far-reaching consequences, from sending consumer prices for imported products soaring to inviting retaliation from other countries and threatening the dollar's role as a world reserve currency. Now read that last sentence again, please.
Tariffs can make central banks, particularly those in emerging markets, less reliant on foreign currencies like the US dollar for their reserves.
Boom. What Goldilocks is saying, folks, not like foreign currencies, their currencies, but the US dollar being a foreign currency to these countries where they are less reliant on the US dollar, because the US dollar is getting weaker. Go ahead, young lady.
They may choose to increase their gold reserves, viewing gold as a more neutral and stable asset during times of protectionism, says Fortune. This shift in central bank holdings can have a noticeable impact on currency exchange rates as central banks purchase gold with their domestic currency, affecting supply and demand dynamics.
Boom. I'm going to elaborate on that, folks. This shift in central bank holdings that Goldilocks is saying can have a noticeable impact, meaning a noticeable impact by countries moving towards gold and these tariffs on gold. Why? Because this noticeable impact on foreign currency exchange rates as central banks purchase gold with their own currencies. So Goldilocks says domestic currency, that means their own currencies. So what's happening, folks, is these tariffs that Trump is putting on gold, it's not on all gold around the world, it's on the gold imports. So as countries shipping their gold to the United States, like bullions, from Switzerland and all over, there will be a tariff on that gold. So what these countries will do, this is strategic on Trump's part. What these countries are expected to do is, instead of now importing their gold into the United States, folks, you don't realize gold is imported, shipped on the ports to the United States, billions daily. So now those countries will be reluctant to do so because they'll be taxed. A tariff is a tax. So it's the 100-ounce gold bars and the 1 kilo bar. So instead of being taxed for shipping that gold into the United States, they'll just keep that gold in their reserves. And what does that gold do? The more gold a country has in their reserves, the more gold a central bank has in their reserves, the stronger their currencies are. So this is a way, just an additional way for these countries to strengthen the value of their own currencies, because they don't want to ship their gold into the United States and get taxed. This is no coincidence why so many countries have been repatriating their gold for so long, why so many countries have been investing heavily into gold recently, why so many investors have been investing into gold recently. Why do you think the gold prices have gone up? Gold has consistently been reaching its all-time high over the last year and a half or so. So as this happens with gold, just like with the Central Bank of Iraq, in our last conference call with them 2 months ago, where they told us how they were buying gold more so than ever before. Iraq, for example, ranks 29th in the world in gold reserves. They're preparing to back their currency, the Iraqi dinar, with gold. This will affect, these tariffs on gold will affect all countries' currencies. This is just another way in weakening the dollar and countries gravitating towards gold. It will be gold that sets us free, folks. It will be gold that backs all currencies. This is why what happened on July 1st with Basel III was so important. Remember, as a requirement by law for all central banks around the world, you got to remember, it's the central banks that govern the currencies. The Central Bank of Iraq governs the dinar. The Central Bank of Vietnam governs the dong, so forth and so on. Just like in the U.S., the Federal Reserve governs the U.S. dollar. Every central bank around the world, as of July 1st, by law, international law, the compliance law, they had to have gold, an adequate amount of gold in their reserves, foreign currency, an adequate amount of different foreign currencies in their reserves, and cryptocurrency, an adequate amount in their reserves. This is part of this with gold, is yet again to set the foundation for these central banks. Now let's get into Iraq. And with Iraq now setting up more currency exchange locations within Iraq in preparation to get paper dinar off of the streets. What you're going to hear that Peculiar Ram is going to read, Category B, exchange companies. We've showed by Goldilocks over a year or so ago about Iraq advancing to Category A, meaning the dinar went from a C note, if you will, up to an A, meaning international recognition for its status. Category B is more of a local recognition where exchange companies. Category A for Central Bank of Iraq to connect with international banks for the dinar. Category B is for your local currency exchange centers within Iraq so that they now meet the compliance to be able to exchange the Iraqi dinar on a more bigger scale. Go ahead, young lady.
The granting of a Category B license to Al Akmar Exchange Company in 2025 indicates that the company is authorized to engage in specific foreign currency exchange activities within Iraq's banking system, subject to the regulations set by the Central Bank of Iraq. A Category B license typically allows limited exchange companies to conduct foreign currency transactions, such as buying and selling foreign currencies, facilitating remittances, and other related services, but with certain restrictions compared to higher tier licenses, like Category A.
Now you see what I was saying, how folks, the difference between Category A, Category B, Category A, which is the CBI, and high level exchange companies that are connected to high level exchange banks, exchange centers and banks in Iraq connect to international correspondent banks. Now they're covering their base within Iraq for your smaller exchange locations. Let's see Category A, if I can give an analogy. Category A is like your tier one banks, if you will, here in the United States. And then you can go to a tier one bank that exchanges currency and exchange your currency. Category B would be like your currency exchange centers at the airport or at the mall or something like that, a kiosk. So now what Iraq is doing is opening these Category Bs, more of them within Iraq, to prepare for influx to get more currency off, more Iraqi dinar off the streets. Go ahead.
The Iraqi banking system, under the oversight of the CBI, permits licensed entities like Al Akmar Exchange Company to exchange foreign currency as part of their operations, provided they adhere to the CBI rules and regulations. These rules include compliance with anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing measures, as well as restrictions to prevent illicit activities like currency smuggling. The CBI has been tightening regulations in recent years to stabilize the Iraqi dinar and align with international financial standards, such as those set by the Financial Action Task Force and the International Monetary Fund.
Mm-hmm.
In summary, skipping down, in summary, the Category B license granted to Al Ekmar Exchange Company allows it to participate in Iraq's foreign currency exchange market, contributing to the banking system's ability to handle such transactions, but within the regulatory framework and limitations set by the CBI. For broader context, the CBI's effort to modernize and regulate the financial sector, including currency exchange, aim to support economic stability and international compliance.
Boom. The last sentence, I love it. I love it all. But for broader context, the CBI's efforts to modernize and regulate the financial sector, including currency exchange, aim to support economic stability and international compliance. Folks, this is key. Iraq is continuously modernizing, updating their capabilities and abilities to exchange foreign currency. They have to have enough licensed, adequate, regulated locations for people to get these dinars off of the street. This is directly from the CBI. Not from behind the Piggly Wiggly, but from the CBI. All right, folks? This is direct from the CBI. Now, that's Iraq. Now, let's go to Vietnam. Now, folks, the QRAM is going to read this. Then we're going to click on the link at the end. And we're going to show you in writing from an international source. Well, go ahead, QRAM. You go ahead. You just go ahead and we'll get to that.
Okay. The government's focus on reforms, anti-corruption measures, and leveraging a large, well-educated population and abundant natural resources supports its long-term growth strategy.
1 second. That's very important what you just said. The government's focus on reforms, anti-corruption measures. This is the same thing that Iraq just talked about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But anti-money laundering, they're tightening up their currency exchange. They're tightening up their banking systems for the new banking system that we're in. That's all. Go ahead, you can continue.
Why reforms matter more than growth? While frontier markets like Vietnam often exhibit faster economic growth than emerging markets, structural reforms are the primary drivers of reclassification and investment appeal.
Okay, 1 second, beloved. This is very, very, very important. When Goldilocks mentions while frontier markets like Vietnam often exhibit faster economic growth than emerging markets, structural reforms are the primary drivers. Folks, think of this is very important. I want to paint this picture so you understand when QRAM reads this. Listen, you have 3 different types of markets. When I say markets, the U.S., for example, is what is called a developed nation or developed market. Top tier, United States, developed. Right below developed is emerging market. An emerging market is they have advanced themselves to the point to be emerging. They're not yet developed, fully. Their financial markets are not yet fully developed, like, for example, the U.S. or Japan or something like that. They still have some challenges, but they're more advanced than what's called a frontier market, which is right below an emerging. So when she's reading this, and we're going to get to this in a little bit, we're going to click on this link, and we're going to go right into where this article talks about the revaluation, you got to understand right now, Vietnam is classified as a frontier, lower tier market. Frontier is like JV in football or sports. They're not fully developed. They're still in the practicing mode. They ain't ready for the big game. However, it's expected in September that Vietnam will be reclassified as an emerging market by what's called the FTSE Russell. We're gonna get to that in a little bit. So Vietnam is expected to graduate from JV to varsity. Now, between frontier market and emerging market, it's taken Vietnam a little over 20, 30 years to get to this point. So I wanted to put that in context so when Peculiar Ram is reading this, you can put into your mind of where Vietnam was, where they are, and where they're going. And they're about to be reclassified. Well, the expectation, I shouldn't say they will be. All of the indicators show, it's all been in writing, that they most likely will. You can continue.
Corporate governance. Improved governance reduces risks and enhances investor confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Market accessibility. Simplified processes for foreign investors increase capital inflows.
Okay, 1 second. That's very important. Market accessibility. Corporate governance, improved governance, reduces risks, enhances investor confidence. This is, folks, where reforms like Vietnam passed all of these different legislation reforms. They changed their constitution. Now, market accessibility. What did President Trump just announce a few weeks ago? Full market access into Vietnam. That's market accessibility. So Vietnam, this is them checking off the boxes for meeting the requirements to graduate from JV to varsity. Go, young lady. Operational efficiency.
Operational efficiency. Modern systems like KRX and central clearing reduce transaction costs and risks.
Okay, 1 second. Operational efficiency. Modern systems. Folks, I know some of you may have missed it. I'll just briefly summarize it. Goldilocks shared about a good month and a half or so ago this KRX system. That is the Korean Stock Exchange, which is an international stock exchange that is varsity worldwide for exchanging where investors from around the world. Think of the KRX system as equivalent to the NASDAQ, the US or the COMEX. Vietnam just in June upgraded their trading, their banking, their exchange system to this exact system. And it took them 4 years of testing, pilot programs, going through international regulations, requirements. They passed. It took them 4 years to qualify, and it went live in June. The KRX system. That's varsity. That's not JV. Operational efficiency. They modernized and upgraded. It's another key word. I'm going to come back to it. They upgraded their banking systems in multiple ways. Their laws and constitution for foreign investors. In fact, as a matter of fact, Tai Tu Pretty mentioned that he was going to a meeting with his private wealth management firm, and they were going to discuss foreign direct investment, which is called FDI, foreign direct investments. This is what Goldilocks has been sharing, that Vietnam was preparing for. Okay, next one. Revaluation effect.
Revaluation effect. As markets become more accessible and transparent, risk premiums decline, leading to higher valuations and potential outperformance. For example, when a country upgrades to emerging market status, index tracking funds must reallocate billions, driving demand for local assets.
That's very important. For example, when a country upgrades to emerging market status, so when a country is elevated from JV to varsity, index tracking funds must reallocate billions. So that means more money will begin to pump into Vietnam from global investors because their market is more accessible, and now it's not as restricted. This is why another reason. Just think with these tariffs, when President Trump announced full market access and that there will be no restrictions on the U.S. being able to import goods into Vietnam, that will allow billions more of dollars to pump into Vietnam. If you all want to know where the value of the Vietnamese dong comes in, this is where the money comes from. Investors. Access to their markets. Go, young lady. An index tracking.
An index tracking fund is an investment vehicle that can include or be based on the performance of a currency or a group of currencies.
Yep. Let's go to a broader context.
Okay. The progression from frontier to emerging to developed markets reflects a continuum of financial market maturity. For investors, upgrades signal improving risk-reward profiles as seen in historical examples like South Korea. Frontier to emerging in 1992, fully developed by 2009 per FTSE. Vietnam's case underscores the importance of monitoring not just GDP growth, but also regulatory and operational advancements, which unlocks sustainable investment opportunities.
The progression from frontier, JV, to varsity, emerging market, to developed markets, which is captain of the team, reflects a continuum of financial market maturity. For investors, upgrades, keyword, upgrades. We're going to come back to this. Upgrades signal improving risk reward profiles. Meaning, folks, investors see more reward than risk by pumping billions into Vietnam now. Again, this is why Peculiar Ram about a month and a half ago, Goldilocks shared an article, you read it, where all of these major Fortune 100 companies flocked in and went to Vietnam for meetings over a Wednesday through a Friday. Google, Apple, Meta, Walmart. It was about 10 to 15 Fortune 100 companies that never done business in Vietnam flew to Vietnam to cut deals because they will be investing and now setting up shop for their businesses in Vietnam. This is billions and billions of dollars that will flood in. That's just from manufacturing, from retail shops and so forth and so on. Now, all this business will be done in the Vietnamese dong. And now think for trading, where now countries will have access to Vietnam's markets to invest, to import in the dong. Now we're going to get into in black and white. If you want to click on the link and follow along, you can do so. For those listening on YouTube, speaking of click on the link, you need to click the link at the top of the description and join the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room. You need to make sure you hit your notifications. Subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss anything related to the RV. Now, folks, last week we showed you in black and white in writing from the White House regarding trade and currency revaluation, exchange rates being assessed by the Secretary of the Treasury as it relates to tariffs, currency exchange rates. Did we not share that and show that last week? Because you're
We
right.
sure did. Yep, we did.
Folks, and of course, just like tonight, the first article, currency revaluation likely to be a priority in the second Trump administration due to the trade deficit. This is what we've been showing, folks. Now, we're going to show you from an international. We're going to go to, we showed you political, we showed you power structure from the White House, about currency, about exchange rates. Now we're going to get to an international finance expert and what he is sharing about Vietnam and related to revaluation. You ready, young lady?
I'm ready. This name, but I'm ready.
The name? Which? I'll say the name. I'll say the name. Go ahead.
Okay.
Vietnamese. The title is Frontier, Emerging, and Developed Markets. But go ahead. Go ahead. You good?
Vietnamese Finance Minister
Nguyen Van Thang
met with representatives from FT.
Why did I think of back that thing up? Why did I just
When I first saw it, when I first skimmed it, I thought it said thong.
Oh Lord.
The thong song. I'm sorry. The Vietnamese finance minister met with representatives from FTSE Russell last week to discuss the potential reclassification of Vietnam's capital market.
Okay, this is very important. Folks, the FTSE Russell. This is an international stock exchange firm where trillions, not billions, trillions of dollars moves through the FTSE Russell every day, every single day. This is a stock exchange. Just think of NASDAQ, think of the COMEX. This is where investors from around the world, the biggest money players, BlackRock. I know people get triggered when they hear BlackRock, but BlackRock, JP Morgan, whatever the biggest firms in the world, they all invest. This is where the U.S. stocks have access to international investors all over the world through the FTSE Russell. So, folks, it's expected next month, September, that the FTSE Russell will upgrade, reclassify Vietnam's stock market from a frontier to an emerging market. Go, young lady.
This marks an important moment in Vietnam's journey from frontier market to emerging market status in 2025, a long-awaited upgrade that has been on the table since 2018.
They've been working on this since 2018. They had to go through several regulatory changes. They changed their constitution. They upgraded the banking system. They did so much to possibly get this designation to the emerging market status in September of next month. So now that is the FTSE Russell. What you're going to hear next is something totally different, but it's huge, which is the mercantile stock. I'm sorry, the Morgan Stanley MSCI is next, where they're expected to be upgraded between 2026 2028. That's something different. It's bigger, if you will. Now, the FTSE Russell expected for them to be upgraded to the emerging market by the FTSE Russell next month. And then the MSCI, which PQRM is going to get to next. This is why Goldilocks has always said the currencies will float. Because as Vietnam upgrades, as they are designated, as their economies are reclassified and upgraded, each level will continuously raise the value. It's expected to continuously raise the value of their currency as a result of these upgrades to their economy, or the upgrading or the reclassifying of their economies. Good, young lady. You can go to the next one. The next one. So when people hear it, they're going to hear 2026, 2028. I had to preface that because like, oh my God, does that mean we gotta wait?
Yeah.
No, so I had to go ahead and say that. Go ahead.
MSCI does not expect a possible upgrade to emerging market status until sometime between 2026 and 2028. But what does such an upgrade really mean? And why are structural reforms more important than economic growth alone?
So yeah, and I'm going to read the first paragraph so people hear it, because people will hear what you just read and totally forget what you read before. In fact, you read the first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, read the first one again, because we know those that are date chasers, like ambulance chasers, they only hear that 2026, 2028, and totally miss what you just read about 2025. Go ahead. Can you reread that again?
The Vietnamese finance minister met with representatives from FTSE Russell last week to discuss the potential reclassification of Vietnam's capital market. This marks an important moment in Vietnam's journey from frontier market to emerging market status in 2025, a long-awaited upgrade that has been on the table since 2018.
That review is next month, September, for the FTSE Russell. Huge, huge, huge. Goldilocks has been talking about this, writing about this, and so this is more of it again. But as we continue here, it's going to talk about revaluation as a result of all of this. Is it not, PQRM?
It is.
Listen to that chuckle. All right. Now, geopolitical complexity. So what this international writer and international firms is discussing, folks, is what it takes, what Vietnam is currently doing, what they're currently faced with, and what the results of the changes would be. And oh, by the way, it's going to talk about tariffs. Go, young lady. Geopolitical complexity.
Vietnam's path to emerging market status is complicated by geopolitical tensions. In early July, Vietnam became the third country, after the UK and China, to reach an agreement with President Trump regarding the import tariffs he announced in April. Instead of the original 46% tariff, Vietnam will now face a 20% tariff on Vietnamese goods and a 40% tariff on goods deemed Chinese in origin, but rerouted through Vietnam. Mm-hmm. Vietnam is the sixth largest exporter to the United States, largely because it has positioned itself as a strategic alternative to China.
Now, folks, you don't think that the importance of the tariffs is related to anything? Trade. We've been showing you by Goldilocks how trade, the currency revaluation is related to trade. We just shared with you this currency revaluation is likely to be priority of the second Trump administration because it's related to the trade deficit. Mm-hmm. And here we are again, an international firm talking about the tariffs and trade related to Vietnam and other countries. Now let's get into it. Go, young lady. Frontier, market, emerging, and developed. Remember the levels of them. Go ahead.
These market classifications say more about the structure of a country's capital markets than about its economic growth. Mm-hmm. Young, often smaller markets with limited accessibility and liquidity are labeled frontier markets.
Think young, often smaller markets
Mm-hmm.
with limited accessibility and liquidity are labeled frontier markets. So limited accessibility, that was Vietnam until their trade deal they signed with the United States to have full market access to Vietnamese markets. No longer limited accessibility into Vietnam. Go, young lady.
A step up are emerging markets, growing economies with more developed financial infrastructure and improved access for foreign investors. At the top are developed markets characterized by deep liquidity, strict regulation, and full integration into the global financial system. These classifications, defined by index providers such as FTSE Russell and MSCI, influence the flow of billions of dollars in passive investment. A reclassification can therefore have a significant economic impact on a country.
This is where, through supply and demand on the water, investors pumping money into a country, investors investing into countries because that country has political stability now, because that country is open, has market, is allowing market access, is allowing investors, allowing private companies like the Googles, like the Apples, like the different manufacturing firms to come in. These investors don't go into a country and invest without. Speaking of investors, wasn't there a president that recently broke ground in Vietnam for a multi-billion-dollar golf course, hotel, resort? Was that President Trump?
Mm-hmm. You know it was. You're going to throw up a golf. Nothing else.
Criteria for promotion. Criteria for promotion, folks, is the criteria for a country to be promoted or upgraded from frontier to emerging or emerging to developed. Go ahead.
The criteria for promotion to emerging market status are diverse and highly technical. Accessibility is key. Can foreign investors enter and exit the market freely? Vietnam is actively working to simplify administrative procedures and increase transparency around foreign ownership. MSCI's 2024 Global Market Accessibility Review highlights the complexity of these criteria. Out of 18 assessment areas, Vietnam had no issues in 6, showed minor shortcomings in 4, but required substantial improvements in the remaining 8.
That's just the MSCI, folks. FTSE Russell, they have met their requirements. Go ahead.
Vietnam currently makes up approximately 28% of the MSCI Frontier Markets Index, making it the largest component. This dominant position underscores both its strong liquidity and the importance of a potential upgrade for index tracking funds. Liquidity alone is not enough. The market must also be operationally efficient. Since May this year, Vietnam has been operating the KRX system, a significant step toward modern trading infrastructure.
That's what we just mentioned. The KRX system, folks, is the Korean stock exchange that, boom, allows investors to now pump billions into Vietnam. More access, more access, more access. But this is the MSCI. Go ahead.
The planned implementation of a central clearing counterparty in 2027 will further professionalize the market infrastructure.
Okay, so that's the MSCI. For those that are date chasing, that's just the MSCI. It doesn't mean anything. Well, it does, but this is why, and I'll get to later, about having an exit strategy. When exit strategy, and when you may exchange, near term, midterm, longer. We got the FTSE Russell, and what's expected after that, which is September, is the FTSE Russell. If that happens, we already see the currencies that are moving. Go ahead, young lady. Reforms.
Reforms are the true engine of outperformance. Many frontier markets grow faster than emerging markets, but the real value lies in the reforms that make an upgrade possible.
Upgrade, folks. This is very key word. I'm going to come back to this upgrade. I'm going to come back to this in a little bit. Keep this in your mind. Upgrade. I'm going to explain the importance of what's happening with Vietnam and the expectation. Go ahead. When a country improves.
When a country improves corporate governance, enhances ownership transparency, and creates more efficient market mechanisms, assets are often fundamentally revalued.
What? What you say?
Revalued. Assets are often fundamentally revalued.
When a country improves corporate governance, like constitutional laws they change, enhances ownership transparency, and creates more efficient market mechanisms, all this is what Vietnam was done. Assets are often fundamentally revalued. Folks, this is all assets, including currencies. Upgrade. When an upgrade is possible, this is the reforms. Peculiar Ram, do you remember a few months ago where we talked about, it's actually called Resolution 68 with Vietnam. I hope I'm not putting you in a spot. But it's the reforms, folks, where they changed their constitution. It was 34 days of being in session to pass laws. They passed over 32 laws, 32 reforms to prepare for an upgrade to their economy. Go, young lady.
Companies become more accessible to global investors, risk premiums fall, and valuations rise.
Risk premiums fall, meaning the risk to invest falls, therefore billions pump in and the valuations rise. We still, folks, we still haven't gotten to the meat and potatoes of this. This is just, you heard a little tease about revalue assets, revalue. That's just a tease. Go ahead, young lady.
The Vietnamese government has presented an ambitious growth strategy aimed at moving the country into high income bracket by 2045. This would require a minimum annual growth rate of 8% over the next 20 years, an ambitious target for an economy heavily dependent on exports to the U.S. and Europe. The reforms needed for an emerging market upgrade have become an economic necessity, especially in the light of Trump's new tariffs.
Oh, so Trump's tariffs has something to do with them upgrading their economy, assets revaluing? I wonder where y'all heard that from before. Go ahead, young lady.
Why it matters to investors. Upgrades from frontier to emerging market status often lead to significant outperformance, not because the underlying economy suddenly changes, but because structural improvements drive revaluation.
Because what?
Structural improvements drive revaluation.
Upgrades.
Yep, improvements, upgrades. Yep.
Go ahead.
Don't start. Markets that improve accessibility, transparency, and infrastructure position themselves for long-term value creation.
Vietnam has checked all the boxes for the FTSE Russell. Also, the trade agreement, this tariffs as well. Vietnam checked all the boxes for all of this. And we're required, and this is a fact, many of the constitutional laws and the reforms that Vietnam passed, it was in May because they wanted to make sure they had favorable negotiation terms when these tariffs came out from Trump. And also those changing their constitution and all the reforms helped them to, and we have seen several international firms that have said without saying the likelihood of Vietnam being upgraded to an emerging market by the FTSE Russell in September. The tariff agreement alone and the tariffs with all the other countries and the agreements that are being still finally go, and actually Vietnam is still haven't finalized their agreement with the United States, but it's all connected to them, to Vietnam and these other countries. We're talking about Vietnam upgrading. Vietnam has made the upgrades that they've needed to make so far. Go ahead, young lady.
It is also crucial to weigh geopolitical risks. Vietnam's success will depend not only on domestic reforms, but also on its ability to navigate between major global powers without alienating any of them. The country is internationally recognized for its flexible bamboo diplomacy, its large and well-educated population, and its strong anti-corruption drive. In addition, Vietnam is one of the few countries in Asia with relatively abundant natural resources.
I'm going to read this first paragraph again under why it matters to investors about Vietnam upgrading. Upgrades from frontier to emerging market status often lead to significant outperformance, not because the underlying economy suddenly changes, but because structural improvements drive revaluation. Folks, the upgrades that Vietnam made to their banking system to become digital, the upgrades to allowing market accessibility, as Trump put in writing, full market access to Vietnam's economy, the 30 plus reforms that the Iraqi government passed that includes tax exemptions for foreign companies to come into Vietnam and invest. It also includes tax-free incentives for businesses like these major companies that are flocking in to Vietnam, the jobs that it will create.
Mm-hmm.
All of this, the upgrading to the KRX exchange system that it took them since 2018 to upgrade to, which is an international system that allows foreign investors from anywhere in the world to invest into to Vietnam's stock market. All of this affects the Vietnamese dong. Upgrades from frontier to emerging market status often leads to significant outperformance, not because of the underlying economy suddenly changes, but because structural improvements, all of those that I just mentioned, drive revaluation. Think of this upgrade. I told you I'll come back to it. Think of you own a home. Or you may not own. Just think of any home. All right. And let's say this, you have a house that's valued, let's say $200,000. Just use as an example. If you make some upgrades to that house, let's say you put a new HVAC system into it, a new roof, a new water system, new floors. You might put a pool in the backyard, in-ground pool. You make various upgrades to your property. Let's say you put in the last 5-6 years, you made $50,000. You put $50,000 worth of upgrades into your $200,000 house. Then you decide you want to put that house on the market. Those upgrades, let's say if it's $50,000, Your house was previously appraised at $200,000. Now an appraiser comes in. Because of your upgrades to your home, the valuation on your house, the appraisal on your house, now it might be worth $350,000, $375,000, whatever it may be, depending on the local market, right? But those upgrades that you made, as a result of these upgrades, your home is no longer the previous value of $200,000 because these upgrades justify a revaluation in the price of your home. Vietnam has made so many upgrades to their financial system, to their laws and regulations of allowing investors to come in. This is why it's expected for the revaluation of their currency, the dong, because of the upgrades that they've made. So therefore, it's expected that they will be upgraded by the FTSE Russell. The review is in September. They've already made upgrades relative enough to get a favorable agreement with the U.S. for tariffs, and they're still negotiating a final agreement. 20%, it might be reduced from 20% to a lower amount. Nonetheless, the same requirements to qualify for the FTSE Russell, they met those requirements in order to get a favorable deal to negotiate with President Trump for these tariffs. Goldilocks has previously said and put it in writing that from the tariffs, it would take at least 30 days or more to see the effects as a result of these tariffs. And then you have to have all these other countries and their taxes. Every country, everything is connected to everything. So Vietnam, they have upgraded their infrastructure. Like if you were to upgrade the water system in your home, your roof, whatever improvements or upgrades you made, it justifies the house and the appraised value to be more than what it was before the upgrades. Vietnam has made these upgrades to justify, we expect, to be reclassified from a frontier market to an emerging market by the FTSE Russell in September. But again, the tariffs negotiations, the deal that they signed with the U.S. is already, they made significant upgrades already just to even not get hit with 50-60% tariffs. There's so many changes they had to make in order for President Trump to even agree to the tariff agreement that he made with them. Several of the boxes, the requirements to be checked off to be reclassified as an emerging market, they did for the tariffs. And remember this, for those that don't know, for those that do remember, when Vietnam contacted President Trump to ask to come to the table to negotiate these tariffs, they asked him then, can you please recognize us as a market economy? We went over that. They're asking for it. They're asking to allow the Vietnamese dong to be set free in the global markets. So again, the upgrades, they made several upgrades to qualify to be reclassified by the FTSE Russell. But again, the tariff agreement that they made, along with other tariffs agreements that were already made or still in the process of. All of this currencies are already moving. Some down because that's natural. It's a part of the reset. It's for values to reset or recalibrate. And as gold, which is the safe haven, is backing these currencies, it will begin to move these currencies to their real values. But Iraq is the only one that will revalue to a fixed rate. The rest will float. The expectation is that they will float. I'll say that. This is why they're the exit strategy. You see, we have the FTSE Russell next month is the review to upgrade Vietnam. What if you had an exit strategy for some point in time when currencies begin to move? 2026 and beyond, the MSCI is expected to upgrade Vietnam's economy even more. I wonder if the Dawn will go up even more. Multiple exit strategies might be a good strategy. I'm asking and saying and asking rhetorically at the same time. The upgrades. All right. The sniper, if you can unmute my good man, R.O., if you can unmute my good lady, could you ram? If you can, oh, there you go. And I don't see Surge. Sniper, I know you saw this. What's your take on all this, young man?
You know, this whole Saturday Night Dialogues, when you look at everything, I want to throw one thing out there, Freedom, if you don't mind me throwing this in there. Goldilocks posted about a digital repo market. And one thing that they talked about in this digital repo market was about high quality assets, liquid assets. And if you look up what the most high quality liquid asset is, it is currency. Currency is your most liquid asset. When you go and do anything with, I'll just use an example like real estate, that's what your liquidity is, or if you're liquid to be able to buy, right?
It's currency.
This country right now is being upgraded by a international firm that is putting it out there. That's saying, hey, there are significant growth in this country. They've changed what they need to change. They met the qualifications to be able to say, let's invest, and there's something there. I had a screenshot of this article, right? I took a screenshot exactly where it talked about I'm gonna read exactly the same part that you did, but I have to because it's such a big deal. It says the reforms needed for an emerging market upgrade have become an economic necessity. That is a punchline.
Yep.
That is a punchline. And I mean, it doesn't get any clearer than that.
Yep.
What is being put out there? Banks around the world are all getting ready for a digital side, and they're telling you that the liquid assets are the most important part that's going to drive those markets.
Yes, and folks, I'm glad you mentioned that, Sniper. What you just mentioned about the necessity, because folks, and this you just reminded me, Sniper, of a conversation I had with Goldilocks, is that folks in the new digital banking system, the new banking system that we're now in, especially now after these tariffs, these countries would not be able to survive without utilizing their own currencies in trade.
Right.
They have to utilize their own currencies because the US dollar is getting weaker. So they can no longer depend on the US. And we've been saying this for quite some time. But like Mike N just said about the highest liquidity asset is currencies. They have to they have to depend on their own currencies. And what would that do to the value of their currencies? Because they're going to go back and they're going to begin to utilize their own currencies. The demand goes up. So the value goes up. And with these tariffs, in order to offset these taxes, which are tariffs, they have to move the value. And it's not a snapping of the finger and a flipping of the switch move the value of the currencies. It's allowing the markets to determine the value through supply and demand, and the countries will have a managed float. So it's like they will supervise the value of their currencies as the currency rates begin to move. Because if they move too fast, it'll be detrimental to their economies. If it moves too slow, it'll be detrimental to their economies. So that's why they have to manage the value, the rates. Mm-hmm. It's like a dance. It's like a dance. Ebb and flow, ebb and flow. That's why there could never be a flip of the switch. And for those thinking, oh well, freedom didn't Kurdistan didn't Kuwait, didn't they just do that? Was a reinstatement, ladies and gentlemen, in the old banking system. We are in a new banking system, and currencies will float. We could say revaluation. The revaluation is a float, but not in the sense that you all were told by Ernie, Bert, and Miss Piggy, your favorite puppets. Okay.
Hey, Freedom, if I could throw one more thing in there, right?
Go ahead.
You highlighted how gold is being tariffed right now. Well, if we pay attention that central banks have been the number one buyers in gold, they're positioning themselves to be able to use their currency and back it by their gold, because everybody's in the same agreement that since gold has went into tier 1 status, that they know they have to hold it. So when they do these transactions and their currency using these stable coins as digital market, they know they can back it.
They can back it. That's it. Exactly. and this is, folks, this is how Trump is leveling the playing field. Again, folks, back in 2017, when the reporter asked him, President Trump, what are you going to do about these countries devaluing their currencies? He said, we're going to level the playing field. This is leveling the playing field. We're going to a gold standard. We're going to a gold-backed system, asset-backed system, where countries now will depend on their own currencies. Instead of the U.S. dollar, they have their sovereignty. The leveling of the playing field. The security and the safety to back their currency is there. How? Gold.
July 1st.
It went into effect July 1st. Yes. RORO.
Yes.
Young
well,
lady.
This is amazing. Well, I am definitely picking up what you're throwing down. I'm loving all this these articles where you could definitely read them and follow along, and you're showing this step-by-step roadmap of what's happening, and you could kind of start planning and looking at your, like you said, the exit strategy, and and how much are you going to hold? So it's back to your plans and your goals with your wealth manager, right?
That's it, folks. If you didn't hear what she just said, she hit the nail right on it. And I'm glad you said that, because that was something I forgot to mention. I wanted to mention about the strategy and having an exit strategy, folks. This is where, with having a relationship with your wealth manager, wherever you decide you want to exchange at, you may exchange some now. Let's say I'm going to use a number. I'm just use numbers. We might want to exchange a 5 million of your currency, but you still have another 5 that you're holding back, because you already know the currency is going to flow. It's going to continue to go up. Why would you exchange it all at the same time now? That's your business if you want to, but I'm just using an example. That wealth management firm might take that 5 million and flip it to 10. but you still got 5 million that you're holding. So the same currency, let's say the dong, whatever currency, begins to move up even more in 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, a year. Now you can take that and you can exchange that and you can flip it again, but you don't exchange it at a higher rate.
Mm-hmm. Like Wiley says, rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. See, and folks, and for those new folks who don't know, that you may have heard of a false misnomer, a lie, just guru foo about double dipping. There's no such thing as double dipping.
Nope.
Just think if you ever traveled and you have multiple currencies, you go from Mexico to Texas, back and forth, U.S. peso, go to different countries, wherever you may go, whatever country, you exchange currencies all the time, every day, multiple times a day. Okay. So I'm so glad you mentioned that, RO. So glad. Yes, this is the importance, folks, of having that relationship, establishing relationships with these wealth managers. You can take your millions and flip them to multi-millions, millions, and flip them into billions if you have a strategy. If you don't, okay. To the Piggly Wiggly you go. You be back there with Zach. He'll be there to greet you. He'll be there to greet you and laugh at you while he has his multi-millions, him and Amber. Oh, man. Serge, you want to come in here, my good man? What's your take on all this? You probably have a question. There you go. All right, Serge, you can unmute, my good man. Serge, you can unmute if you can. Okay, you might be having some technical. There you go.
Okay, am I there? Okay.
There you go. Okay. Yes.
So I'm just no questions at the moment. I'm just taking it in.
Just soaking it all in. All right, yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Peculiar Ram, you want to add anything and take us home?
Don't want to add too much because it's already, I don't want to take away from anything that was brought forth tonight. I really need people to really listen to this podcast again and really take in what you're saying, especially when it comes down to the breakdown from frontier to emerging to developed markets. It's very, very important because I feel like those are terms we are going to see a lot more as the year progresses. So I'm glad that you really touched on that and really broke that down. And the analogy that you gave from JV to varsity to head star player, and the fact that they've taken 20 years, Vietnam specifically has taken the past 20 years to get to this point. Of course, they're going to manage their float. They didn't take all that work to put in all that work and do all those reforms to just let it go haywire. So whatever rates you guys heard about the Vietnamese dong, $4 and up, $8 and up, ask yourself, after what you've listened to tonight, does that really make sense? Again, have your exit strategy. I hope you're diversified and go back to the drawing board because it doesn't get any more clear than this. We have international analysts telling us, reinforcing what was already talked about last April of 2024. And we see it coming to pass. And I just think, like you said, the exit strategy is very important. Now that we see exactly what Vietnam is doing and what they have already done and what's to come, I hope people take this a lot more seriously. And like you said, get rid of the guru foo-foo, get rid of the rates and dates, and understand what's really happening globally and economically. So that way, when you do go and establish your relationship with your wealth manager, you know what you're talking about. This is helping you to know what you're talking about. So yeah, a fire podcast, fire.
I'm glad you mentioned that about the exit strategy as well, also, and then all of the fake dates and all that.
It doesn't make any sense.
Nah, folks, you don't realize for the I got introduced to this 13 years ago, and others 20 plus. The same exact so-called dates, so-called rates have been out there, folks, 13 years ago. It's called clickbait. So someone came up, a guru had to put a spreadsheet out with all these different rates. It's just to attract you. It's just to get your attention. Yeah. And I know people getting upset. You don't like to hear it, but just imagine whatever rate you were told. Just imagine if you had the right strategy, you could still get the same return that you thought you were going to get if you had the right strategy in place with the wealth manager. So it's not that you can't. It's not that you can't get what you were expecting. It's just how you get there. Yeah. The reality of how you get to a certain. Let's say if you thought because the guru said $4 and $5 and $6 and AI on YouTube said it was showed in Twitter and Instagram. Right. Mm-hmm. Folks, let's say if you exchange at $1 with the right strategy in place, where that wealth manager flips that dollar into the equivalent of $3 or $4 within a 12, 18-month period of time, 24 months, a strategy, you can still get there.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But when you are faced with the facts, men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
Numbers don't.
It's a numbers game, folks. It's not what these foolish folks, so-called intel providers, attempt. It's all clickbait.
Sensationalism.
That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why, folks, you hear our members who are structured with their wealth managers based on the relationships they've established. Just like you heard RO tonight. She was prepared when the wealth manager talked about precious metals. She was like, thank you for the alley-oop, Mr. Wealth Manager. Let me tell you, just so that you know, since we've been dating for 6 months, we've gotten to know each other. I know you know me.
Period.
I have, I've invested in GCR, and he's like, oh, you're in GCR. Let's meet again, RO, and here's some information I want to share with you. We've been talking about you in our meetings. Let's get together again the first of next month, RO. But if she would have went there talking about Jamie Dimon and A&R Rock and dinar and can I come? Can y'all cash in my currency? And man, they would have called security on her. She would have never had
talk about barrels of oil. They don't know about no barrels of no oil.
Going there talking about what they talk about? What's the budget tables. Mr. Banker. They'd be like, what?
They're paying their retirees. That means they're about to revalue.
Folks, this is why you have so many of our people that are set and structured with like multiple wealth managers.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sniper, multiple. This dude daily. But those are relationships. Peculiar Ram. Strong established relationship with her wealth manager. His wife has currency. So, folks, these are relationships. But these are folks who are students. They understand. They took time to understand their investment, to learn their investment. And they're not fumbling and bumbling around in guru fufu rooms. All right? All right, folks. I hope this was helpful. Tonight, you saw it in writing from an international firm about what Vietnam is doing, upgrading their economy. And as a result, their assets will revalue. What it might tell you is the truth. Number one liquid asset is currency. All right, folks. In fact, speaking of it, Peculiar Ram, her firm has shown her via email, newsletter, emerging market currencies and their movement. Did they not, Peculiar Ram?
Yep, they sure did. They did a 6 to 12 month outlook on what they see happening. Mm-hmm.
All right. Beautiful folks. You all have a wonderful night. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you on Monday. Come to the room with love. We'll give you some love and help you along the way. Everyone, have a good night.
Have a
Take care,
good
folks.
night.
Thank
All
you.
right
Good
now.
night.
All right. Good night.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.